What's up guys, we're back working on this slab today. I got it pretty sanded up, pretty nice here. I'm going to do a little more on the edges. But what we've decided to do is I have this template here. And the template comes to about here and goes across and goes back. And we decided we're going to epoxy these areas with black deep pour epoxy. So I got to flip the slab over, sand the other side. Right now I'm also going to cut this because it's been just in the way here. And clean up all my bark shavings. So we're going to cut this melamine. The melamine is used to basically frame out where you're going to pour the epoxy. It doesn't stick to this. You can get a nice clean surface. Alright guys, it's time to wrap up this slab table. This is the bottom side of it. I just did a rough layout of where I think I'm going to do the epoxy pours to fill in these voids. And what I need to do now is sand this so it's a little more flat. There are some spots that that the router didn't do very well, and then I got to take some of these voids out, and then I'm going to seal these areas so the epoxy doesn't fill in those voids. Same with like this crack here, we'll fill that in. But before that, I'm just going to get like a 60 grit surface. So I'm starting with 40 and then going through 60, and then I'll start chipping out some of these soft spots, and we'll get ready to lay out our melamine so we can do our big epoxy pour. So let's do it. This bottom with 60 grit, and then probably 120 real quick, and that should seal up the pores before I put clear coat on all this. And then we'll silicone around all these things and then put the plate. I've got my rough layout here where I want it. So it's something like this, and that's going to go around to there. Alright, so I know I have a silicone joint with those areas, so we'll do like one screw here, one screw here, I need one out here. Alright, we're just going to send this. Probably wrong, but what it is, so I need a new reference line. We're putting this back down. I had to use this morning to drill a hole in my Chevy door because it was full of water. That's how my day's going. How's yours? So it's 2 parts A, 1 part B. I'm gonna use the tint, just a little bit. Alright, 2 parts A to 1 part B. And for tint, we're not even gonna put a drop in. We're just gonna put it on this screwdriver. Slowly down the side of the cup is in this direction. That makes the least amount of bulk. So this is a good test. I'm gonna let that sit and then we'll check it out. Alright guys, we got this slab flipped over and now we're gonna frame out the mold with some more melamine. Basically what we're gonna do here is I'm gonna lay my template back down and we're gonna frame out, and some of this is gonna get cut off, and we'll frame out exactly where we want the epoxy to go. We want the minimal amount of epoxy, but we want to be a little bit further past our jig, past my template, so that we can cut the epoxy to length later. I'd say within a 1/4 inch, in case I need to straighten it out and square it up. So let's get that mold, or let's get the template on there. I think I'm gonna fill this all up. Yeah, keep laying this out differently. I kind of want this live edge, but I need to curve it. You just gotta start cutting. Okay, this is called a Collins foot. It's for cutting crown molding, scribes. Essentially what we're doing here, we're going to scribe this to this wood curve. I don't actually know if people do this regularly, but this is how I'm going to do it. So basically what we're going to do is take this tool, we're going to follow the contour with the offset up. I'm going to set it on both of them. We're not looking for perfect, we just want it close, and then we'll caulk the rest. So you flip it upside down. Okay, so I'm good with how all that finishes. So we got part of this down. Now this section's a little weirder. This section's a little more weird because I've got this flat part here, right? And I need to end it. And so like, I'd love to end it here, but we're too far away. And I need to put a curve on this outside of this table line. So it'd be like here. And then if I average like a 2-inch front, it's going to be something like this. So I could take my epoxy all the way back to this straight section here. Alright, so I went through and cleaned up some of my epoxy, or my caulking that was a little too far in, so that was a mistake. I went a little bit too far in. And now what I'm gonna do, make like a hot glue wall on here and all around my pores, because I want to flood it just slightly, not too much, but just slightly over, in case that it fills some voids or I get a slight leak. The level won't drop below this surface, because if that happens, then I have to basically replane the whole thing, and I'm not trying to do that. Definitely keep in mind when you're doing the black caulking, like I should have put tape down and then peeled it off, so I only had like an 1/8 inch, because my overage isn't that much greater. I'm gonna just barely hit my 3-gallon mark on here. So I'm gonna just barely be hitting my 3 gallons I have. It says that 2.5 gallons does about 2 square feet. I'm just over that. I'm gonna go for it. I mean, I did buy an extra quart just in case. But basically, I got 2 clean buckets here. We're gonna mix in one with the power drill, and then we're gonna transfer to the other one. That's what it says, and I think that's so it can pour on top of itself, and that helps with mixing. And then continue mixing for 3 more minutes, and then pour. I am gonna do the slight black. I feel like that'll help with any imperfections. Alright guys, it's time to do it. 2 parts A, 2 gallons, with 1 part B. That's what it says. Resin to 1 part activator. So 2 parts A is resin, and then B. We'll do it at the same time. I was gonna add my black to part B, but I think I'm just gonna add it as a whole. I'm just gonna send it. I made a list on my phone. Square, level table, hot glue. I'm gonna do it all at once. Here we go. Looking pretty good, but I got some bubbles. Can't really see where it's coming from. I think it's coming under the slab. Yeah, I'm just gonna hot glue this whole seam. Hot glue seems to be working if you stack enough of it on. Kind of cures with the resin. I'm totally making this up. I don't know if this is gonna work. Oh, I got another leak right there too. At the seam. Not super worried about that one though. Again, it's not good. Yeah, what's your trick to the leak stop?
Tie back tape.
Don't have any.
Or packing tape.
Packing tape. I got packing tape. I missed this spot.
Paper towel too.
I can't it's this weird spot. I've been filling it with hot glue. That's what all this is.
Sometimes that works, but sometimes when it gets thermal, it heats up the hot glue and it melts again.
Right.
Paper, watered up paper towel, taped to it. You can probably use duct tape or anything that you can get to stick.
Okay. It looks good.
Did you just pour it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks nice.
Yeah, it used a lot less than I thought. It probably only used 2.5 gallons, but the level's starting to drop,
Yeah.
And I don't know.
Some seepage underneath.
Yeah, I mean, I have more I can pour in. I tried to make a dam with hot glue, but it just went over it, Okay, I'll try to. Thanks, man. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. I screwed up. I used way too much caulking. I should have been more frugal. I'm gonna have to cut it back further. Yeah, this part's gonna be the hardest part where it joins with the front live edge. I'm not even really sure how I'm gonna do that yet, but okay.
Yeah, I would. If that's leaking, I would paper towel and duct tape it to.
Yeah.
And, clot it almost.
I'm a 16th under right here. Damn it.
Yeah, alright, stop the leak and then top it off.
Okay. Alright, I'll try the wad thing.
Yeah, that seems to work sometimes.
Alright.
It's sort of it just depends on the leak, but that seems to work.
Alright, sweet. Thanks, man.
Yep.
Later.
Yeah.
Sam says packing tape and water paper towel. Seems like they'll just soak it all up though, but we're gonna try it. Because Sam says. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just stirring it up more. Alright, so we made it through the pour somehow. I still have a little leak, but I think what's happening is it's the top of that layer rolling off the side. So I put some weight on this side of the table because I'm actually balancing this thing and leaned it this way a little bit. I'm gonna keep an eye on it. I'm gonna wake up a couple times in the night, check it. I loaded it with hot glue. It seems to have slowed down. This side's been doing great. It's still super liquidy. I mean, this stuff takes 6 days, 5 days, I don't know, a long time to set up. This sample I did still tacky, and it's been 2 weeks, which kind of scares me. I don't think I mixed this long enough, and I did it with a stir stick. I know I mixed that stuff for a good 10 minutes, so put your faith in it. So anyways, I had some leftover, couldn't help myself. I made this little thing. I'm not gonna, one thought was to save this and pour it if that level gets low, which I still might do. I could put a lid on this. Maybe that's smarter. I was gonna just dump it in there, but if I come back and the level's super low, I just feel like if I pour it in, it'll give a swirl and then it's done, I don't want to risk that swirl. I don't even know if this is enough for this. What I'd rather have happen is that level goes down and then I have to do another top coat, which I don't want to do because I'll never match that black ever. It might be a necessity. Or I deck it all down. Alright, I think the safe thing is to put a lid on this and wait. And then I can pour this later. I can always pour that. Alright, I'm stressed out. That's all I got. Well, I came back down to check on it a couple hours later, and a mosquito flew in it. every epoxy table I've done, I did like a bunch of Bartop ones, bugs fly in it. It drives me nuts, but I think that leak stopped enough for tonight. I'm gonna try not to disturb it. It's still leaking though. But my theory is it's just skimming the top, so I've tried as much as I can. Let it sit overnight. In the morning we have that. Alright, so we're gonna take this apart. And the reason is my epoxy failed here, but I need to flatten. I decided I need to flatten the whole slab because this side is good. And if I pour this, it's not going to match, and this surface is all messed up anyway, and it's probably going to peel off. It's not going to bond, especially because I'll be sanding it to like a fine edge. So pouring it off. Get the tracks on here and just rip. Let's do it. I'm doing this. What's up, guys? I woke up this morning at 3:30. It's now 6:30 and I'm ready to test this flattening sled. It's a little stiff. I can't even move the other one hand. So I was like cracking all these loose to try to settle it. I'm gonna play with it a little more here, but basic setup is there's all these linear sliders, and it does help with a little oil. It's all on 80/20. And I have a acrylic plate here, which might be steel down the road. Pretty stiff. It has a little flex in it, you can see. I'm hoping the torque on that doesn't just rip it out, but they're countersunk screws in there, so that should give some bearing on the acrylic edge. But basically what happened here, I don't know if I've talked about it, but my epoxy sunk about 1/4 inch. And I'm left with no option but to flatten it. I thought about filling it up again, but I was worried about bonding issues. So we're just gonna deck this all down. It's gonna take a while. I rotated my carbide teeth on it's a 3-flute 2-inch blade, and let's see how loud this is. Oh, ready? What the? That is not good. You're kidding me. Alright, well, it's working pretty good actually. I'm about an eighth down overall, maybe a little more. 3/16. I missed some of the spots here because I was bottoming out on my this guy here that needs to come off. And then, you know what else I need? I need to put stops. Probably put them up here so that when I pull back, I don't accidentally run into that piece of steel and just kill my bit. Because it's actually, well, on this side I won't hit. But hey, I am thrilled. I mean, my dust collection's not doing anything. We'll have to build a better dust collector down the road here, but heck, for a first pass, that's not too bad. So I think I'm gonna go through and tighten all my stuff. This thing sucks, but what can you do? I might rig it from the ceiling or something. Put a clamp up there and just hang it. Just back and forth, back and forth. So I'm gonna make some of those mods. I'll put stops over there, fix that wire, and hang this from the ceiling and see if I can get it down to where the epoxy's flat. And then I know I do have a deep hole in the one spot I'm gonna have to fill, but you can see it starting to hit some of the high spot here. So I think I was pretty level when I poured it, but it might have, you know, twisted and stuff. Got my jet air filter running. Trying to suck up a lot of this, but it is a messy job. We'll be back and we will make this epoxy and wood a little bit smaller. You guys can see this is a beautiful piece of silver maple. The other issue why I decided to do this was I tried to spot fill a bunch of epoxy spots, and where the wood was soft, like the sapwood was soft, like here, it sunk in to the grain real deep. And so you could sand that for hours and you're not going to get it out because it's like a 1/4 inch down. When I found that out, I was like, oh, yep, we're planing it. So something I learned on my first try at epoxy pouring. It's not that great. Probably won't do another one, but probably will because I just spent all this time making this rig. So, What's up guys? So I am like kind of excited on this one. We've got it all flattened. I did some spot filling and let it cure for 24 hours even though it was pretty cured after 12. And now alright, as I was saying before my battery died, plane these lumps off. I do have a little dip there. So I'm gonna try it at the same height I was at before and see what it does. Hopefully it doesn't pop those out because they don't have too much surface area to bond them. So then we'll just skim all over this. And then I might have to drop it down like a 30-second, get this little dip out. And then we're just gonna start sanding. I'm gonna have to cut this because I have some caulking in here. Cut this square. So basically we'll surface the whole thing down to wherever this looks good. Do the whole slab. Then we'll sand the whole slab. And then if I'm happy with the surface finish, we'll lay out the grid, mark where we need to trim a little more with the track saw. And then we'll take this whole unit off. So I still have to pop this melamine off the bottom of this glue. And then we can cut this. We're gonna have to round this corner and then sand the whole thing and finish it. We're gonna try to do that all today, because we're gonna install this tomorrow. So let's set this up and see what happens. Alright, so here's my screw up. I should have taped or waxed this when I put it on, but I didn't. So I'm having to chip it off. So I got this set done. It took about an hour. No real learnings though. I think this is the fastest way. It's just too bonded to the epoxy. So. Alright, I'm going to do a base coat on the bottom now with polyacrylic satin. Bottom of the slab. Doing a test on the epoxy. I sanded this to 120 and we'll see how clear it gets. So after this coat, I'll scuff this down with 220, do a second coat, and then I'm going to come in and fill some voids before I flip it over and start sanding forever on the top. So the top needs a lot of work still. I'm also going to round these corners off. Okay, so this is the first coat on the bottom. It's dried, polyacrylic. I'm going to now sand it with 220, and then I have this epoxy that goes in the glue gun. I'm going to fill all the some of the screw holes and stuff like that. There's a few epoxy air bubbles, and then we'll give it its final coat. still kind of figuring out if I like the density of this side or not, so let's do it. I don't want to put lines in. So we got this thing flipped up, and now I'm gonna blend this edge, some 60 grit, finish hitting my router marks with the 40 grit, and then 60, 80, 100, 120, and then Rubio. Alright guys, it is 11:30 and it's time to finish this. We're going to use Rubio Monocoat Pure, 3:1, mix it up, spread it out. Alright guys, pretty tired, got it done. Probably needs one more buff. If I forget to film an outro, thanks for watching guys. This one's been a long road for me. Some of these projects, they just get to you for some reason, and this one just got to me. This project was started in April. It's now the last day of September. Some things have happened along the way, but yeah, it's probably been one of my longest delayed projects. So I don't know if I'll keep doing customer projects if they're gonna keep being like this, but if I would have been able to work on this full time, probably be about a 3 or 4 day full-time project. So yeah, I'm done. Good night guys. Give me a thumbs up. Okay, I'm back. I was going to use the buffer on this, but I took the sandpaper off my sander and I'm going to put it on a rack. See how this works. Alright, unplugged it.